We are hanging out on 94.0 FM with Halal Hangouts. We have Taf with me today. As always, guys, make sure you check out all of our episodes on YouTube. Type in Hanging Out and you can re-watch all of our previous podcasts. You can also type in Halal Hangouts podcast to listen to the podcast via iTunes or Android, whichever operating system you use. But without further ado, let's talk about what's been going on. Obviously, we're going through waves of lockdown right now. So during this time, we are very happy to see that there's still some very innovative products being launched in the tech market, even against this landscape. Apple yesterday did their yearly keynote where they dropped two new products, the HomePod Mini, which is their intelligent assistant and it uses Siri, and of course the brand new iPhone 12. And I want to talk about the iPhone 12 first, Taf, because basically I need to upgrade my phone, which is running really poorly nowadays. After I think I've had it for about 5 years. It's an iPhone 7, so I'm a few series behind. But let's talk about the iPhone 12. I did watch the keynote yesterday, and what I quite liked about the keynote was the creativity. Obviously, at the moment, they're not doing their events, their big events, so there's no audience, but they do pre-record the keynote. So they had it at their massive Apple headquarters, and which is amazing. If you guys haven't seen it, you should go to Google Images and type in Apple headquarters. Phenomenal design. And they essentially started by introducing the HomePod, and then started to talk about the iPhone 12, and they went into quite a good amount of detail. Now, the iPhone 12, in terms of I guess the key things that I want to talk about are the 5G capability, which is something that you might be able to talk to a bit, Taf, with your expertise as a software engineer. But also I want to talk about the features and whether there is a huge differentiation between the previous series and the iPhone 12. There has been a release of a few different models, and there is an incremental improvement in each of them. So you have the iPhone 12, you have sort of base model, then you have the Pro, and you have the Pro Max. So first and foremost, which was kind of the big talking point of the event, and they led with this, was the 5G capability of iPhone 12. So they led with the slogan, "Say hello to 5G," and of course, not everyone's familiar with 5G, but essentially it will increase performance when it comes to download and upload speed on your mobile phone, as long as you are in an area which has 5G capability or connection. Is that the best way to explain 5G, Taf?
That is, yes, and it operates at a lower frequency than previous 4G, 3G connections. And with it comes, there are challenges. There's a lot more masts required, so you'll have more density of 5G masts going up. So you'll see them on like, they don't have to be big. You'll see them on lampposts, where the BT sort of exchanges are. You'll see loads of those going up, and I think it's already started around central London. 5G obviously sparked controversy with the beginning of the coronavirus. A lot of conspiracy theorists were alluding to the fact that 5G was causing the virus, which is everyone's entitled to their theories, and that's what it is, a theory. I don't know. There's been no evidence further that's been released, but just in essence, it's what people don't really know is that most people have 5G already in their homes. So the Wi-Fi routers that we currently have, There's
That's
two
correct.
modes. There's 2.6 gigahertz mode, and then there's five
But 4 or
gigahertz.
2.6?
2.4, sorry, 2.4
Yeah, and
gigahertz, and
5. Yeah.
five. So they,
So that is the 5 gigahertz connection then. So
yes,
that's good to know because I'm looking at iPhone potentially, and the way that they've been engineered, obviously, they led with that kind of message around 5G on the iPhone being the kind of the best performance possible for a smartphone. So it's good to know then if I have a 5 gigahertz connection at home, then I will get the fastest possible um, connection speed. Is that
yeah,
correct?
yeah. I mean,
Right.
you get like a you can make use of it. You know, most broadband routers, wireless routers, have this option. Not all network cards can receive it, but most of them do. It's been around for a while, but it just hasn't been used in this capacity before. So, having like a rollout across the country or across geographical regions, it's not really something that's happened before. Another thing that is really interesting about the iPhone is they've started to build their own chips. So
Yeah.
the phones obviously have historically been on ARM chips, and now the iPhone 12 is boasting their own kind of new sort of semiconductor, which is their own thing. I don't know if they work in collaboration with other companies, but it seems like it's the next logical step for them. They call it the A14 Bionic. Um, so A14 Bionic is the first 5 nanometer chip in the industry with advanced components literally atoms wide. So an atom obviously is the smallest unit that we know in the universe. Obviously, there's protons, neutrons, but you know that's the smallest unit that is known.
But
So
it's kind of just the beginning, isn't it? Because you said obviously they've teamed up with other partners. They have from a 5G perspective, they've teamed up with Verizon, which I think is the biggest network in the US. And obviously they get their engineers and they've been doing a lot of testing to optimize these 5G networks. And then I think they're claiming, you know, God, I can't remember the gigabyte speed, but it's really fast. Um, and 5G speeds are essentially going to be like real time. So when you partner with a company like Verizon in the US, for example, when you want to live stream NFL games when they come back, you'll be able to see all the different camera angles real time on your smartphone. Imagine that. That's going to be it's
so
going to
you
be
can
amazing.
you can
Like five
effectively
different
decide.
camera, 5 or plus different camera angles. Whereas normally one camera angle and having a decent connection speed. I'll give you an example: Sky Sports apps, right? When you're streaming on your phone, it's pretty good. But imagine having that same you're watching a football match and you're getting 5 different angles from different parts of the stadium and close-ups, and you're getting really sharp quality images in real-time speed, almost as if you're watching it live. That's going to be, for me, that's amazing to think about the capabilities in the future. Same
Yeah,
thing for gaming. They spoke a lot about gaming at the event, and and obviously the the definition the definition or the quality of the gaming experience right down to the detail within each of the individual characters is going to be basically beyond what we've ever seen before. So the gaming experience on the latest iPhone 12 is supposed to be moving to a new frontier essentially. So they played a lot on the gaming as well. But just want to talk a bit more about the other features as well and get your kind of um, thoughts on them. Now, NASA used something called LiDAR technology, and they're using it for, like, for example, the Mars landing. And iPhone 12 have introduced this technology. It's called a LiDAR scanner. And it essentially measures how long it takes light to reflect back from an object. and then it can understand the depth and create like depth maps of whatever you're in. So if you're in a room, for example, you can model the room. And because it's quick and really accurate, this is kind of the next frontier for AR. So developing new augmented reality apps is kind of really becoming, it's going to become so much easier with this kind of LiDAR technology. Have you heard about this before? But it's been introduced in the iPhone 12.
LiDAR,
in the Pro version, by the way. I'm not sure if it's in the other ones.
Yeah, allows to for depth matching of the room. So you can create sort of, you turn your room into a rainforest, for example, but because everything is accurately mapped to the contours of your room. So that's very interesting. And just a fun fact here, NASA is using LiDAR technology for its next Mars landing to map out the surface of the moon, which is very interesting. Another thing to note here is that augmented reality has been around for a while, but the technology to really make it usable to the masses hasn't been. So now we're starting to see really cool apps being developed. One that I saw just the other day was someone was able to take a picture of a plant in their room and using augmented reality copy and literally paste it onto their computer laptop. So without actually, you know, saving it to iCloud, downloading it and posting it, just literally a flick of the finger and it went onto the screen. So that's the kind of
my first ever experience of AR, like in a real world scenario where everyone was going mad running around London trying to find, you know, a Pikachu. And it's just when I think about where the future will be, I think a lot of that, we're getting a glimpse of that in the iPhone 12. The other thing that they always talk about with iPhones is the camera. And one thing about cameras is, you know, we are in the business of using cameras. We use iPhones quite a lot for recording for Halal Hangouts channel. And we have our, there's lots of good points and there's lots of bad points using iPhone as a camera versus, you know, a traditional SLR, you know, professional camera, which we also have. But we, when we're shooting on site, we tend to almost have a hybrid approach for the shots. And I'm glad to see that the kind of new features that they're introducing in the Pro version of the iPhone 12 is, and this is going to be great for us, is the image stabilization. So they've basically got a much more sophisticated optical image stabilization within the Pro, which will help, you know, for example, if you're driving and there's a lot of shakiness in your phone, to create really stabilized video and images, which is quite cool.
This is definitely an industry shake-up. I mean, they're kind of, I know Samsung are very good phones and they've got a lot of great features, but
it's called OIS, so it's optical image stabilization. This is only in the Pro version, I believe, and the main thing that they showed us in the keynote was they kind of engineered this solution that only moves the sensor. It's called Dolby Vision HDR recording. Now we all know, we've all heard of Dolby Vision, and what this essentially will allow us to do now with the iPhone 12, which there's no other device on the market that will allow you to do it, is there in every single frame of the video, it generates something called a histogram. Have you ever heard of a histogram?
Yes.
And you can essentially grade every single frame. And they showed this in the actual event as well, on the screen. So it will grade